In this video, I'm going to teach you how to make a homemade Hamburger Helper recipe. Not only will you be saving money, but you can also know what's going into your dish. Many times when you look at the box of Hamburger Helper, you see a whole list of ingredients, and most of them I can't even pronounce, let alone know what they are. So with this recipe, it's very easy and it will save you money and you will know what's in it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn my skillet on to a medium high, and then I'll get my hamburger here and get that in the skillet to fry. And we'll break this up into small pieces. So we put 1 pound of ground beef in here, and then it calls for 1/2 of a medium onion chopped up. And I had freeze-dried onions, and so 1/2 of a medium onion equals about 1/2 of a cup of onion. So I'm gonna throw this in there. It's quite convenient to have either dehydrated onions or freeze-dried onions so that if you're in a hurry, you gotta get your meal going, it just saves a lot of time. So I'm just gonna fry this till it gets nice and brown. All right, it looks like it's getting brown enough. At this time, I'm gonna put my spices in so I can kind of cook the spices down a little. And it calls for salt and pepper to taste. And then it calls for 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder. And 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. We'll stir them in. The nice thing about the grass-fed, grass-finished ground hamburger that they have at Costco is you don't have to drain it. There's nothing left in here to drain, so that's kind of nice. And then the next thing is 2 heaping tablespoons of tomato paste. And that was one of them little gadgets like I showed you in the last video for making banana bread. It's kind of a handy thing. You can put up to 2 tablespoons in there, and then you just push it out and then it comes pretty clean. So we'll stir that together. I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit since the skillet is so dry while I'm browning these. The next ingredient is 3 cups of beef broth, and I do not typically have beef broth on hand. So what I do is I use this organic Better Than Bouillon roasted beef base. This is what I use. And so I'll go ahead and add that in here. I'm gonna turn my stove back up to medium high now that I have liquid in there. And we're gonna get this to come to a boil. Okay, our broth is now boiling, so I'm going to add the macaroni. You wanna make sure that your water is boiling. You don't want it at a ferocious boil, but you wanna make sure it's boiling before you put your macaroni in. So we're gonna let it cook uncovered until the pasta is tender and most of the liquid has been absorbed, and that's about 13 to 15 minutes. And you need to stir it every couple of minutes. So you don't wanna just leave this unattended, you wanna keep an eye on it. The reason why you wanna make sure that your water is boiling before you put your macaroni in is because pasta contains starches that when exposed to heat and water, it gelatinizes and becomes very sticky. So adding pasta to cold water allows these starches to release prematurely, and it causes the pasta to stick together in a clump. So that's why you want to make sure that your water is boiling. And so we're going to be cooking this for 13 to 15 minutes, and we're trying to cook the liquid down until the liquid has been mostly absorbed and until the pasta is nice and tender. If you see that the water is boiling out too fast, you can always add more liquid to this, but just keep a close eye on it. Stir it every 2 minutes, and if you see that it's drying up too much, you can just add that liquid to it just so that it doesn't stick to the bottom before the macaroni is actually cooked all the way. Apparently I had my burner on too high and it boiled out a lot of my water. So I'm gonna add a little bit more here because I do not want my noodles sticking and I wanna make sure that they get cooked all the way. I'll only add a little bit at a time because I don't want too much liquid in here because I don't want a soupy outcome. All right, whenever you think it's starting to get close to ready, you'll want to take one of the macaronis out and then just try that and make sure that it's done. You want to keep a close eye on it because you don't want to overcook macaroni. That, to me, overcooked macaroni just does not taste good. All right, that is done. So I'm going to turn off the heat. Then it calls for 2 cups of freshly grated cheddar cheese. And I always freshly grate mine, but then a lot of times I'll throw it in the freezer because I'll do like 10 pounds at a time. So we'll put in this cheese. We'll stir that together and then we'll give it about 2 minutes to get all the flavors together. We'll taste it and see if it needs more salt and pepper, and I'm pretty sure it's going to because we like a lot of salt and pepper on our food. That's looking really good. So I'll let this sit here for 2 minutes and then I'll see if it needs more spice. All right, it's been 2 minutes. So I'll give it a try here and just see what it tastes like. A little bit more salt and pepper would be good on it. You could even add like cayenne pepper, or you could add more chili powder. The spices that's in here taste the closest to the Hamburger Helper that you would buy in the store. Okay. That looks really good. I'm looking forward to giving it a try. Let's see how this compares to the Hamburger Helper. In my opinion, it's better than the store-bought Hamburger Helper, but I had to ask my husband to see what his thoughts were on it, and he agreed that he thinks it's also better than the store-bought Hamburger Helper. So if you give this a try, let me know what you think. Do you think that this tastes better than the store-bought Hamburger Helper? I hope that you'll join me here again next time, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.